What's up, everybody? Rothstein here, Betting Public Sports Show. I'm your beloved host, Fame Rothstein, a.k.a. Michael Snackson, a.k.a. Bay O Wolf, a.k.a. Malcolm Excellence or Malcolm Existential, okay, a.k.a. Hacksaw Jim Thuggin, a.k.a. Eve St. Croissant. Today is Thursday, December 18th, 2025, week out away from Christmas, or Christmas, as the rapper Ply says. But nonetheless, please like, subscribe to the channel, leave comments, share the video, share the channel. Just going to talk a little bit because every time I get on these YouTube streets, it's the same old shit. Black folks beefing. And the number one target, or there's two targets. Lately, it's been three, but there's usually two main targets. The third that's come out recently was Diddy, because of this shit with Diddy, him and 50 Cent, blah blah blah. The 50 Cent documentary that's on, that's tearing up YouTube, or not YouTube, Netflix right now. But before that, it was always somebody shitting on Jay-Z. And this person, that's kind of subsided a little bit, but you had motherfuckers like Big Gip from the Goody Mob. Everybody had some way to slight Jay-Z, diss on him. But this guy gets slighted every fucking day of the week, it seems like. Stephen A. Smith. How does a sports reporter, a guy who was a sports reporter, how does he get into the American conscience that deep to the point where everybody's shitting on him? Comedians, Corey Holcomb, who I like. I like Corey Holcomb. He has talent. I get why he's not famous. We'll get into that in a little bit. Other sports reporters, Jason Whitlock. And now, Jason Whitlock. And then you had Michelle Beadle come out of nowhere and resurface her beef that she had with him that we heard way back when. And then you've got, what's her name? Real pretty lady, Carrie Champion. Used to be on ESPN. And then because she came out, Steven had to go get at her homegirl, Jamil Hill, another former ESPNer, start taking shots at him. And then this was the one that just totally fucked me up. Joy Reid, former MSNBCer. She starts going at Stephen A. Smith. Basically, if you need ratings, go shit on Stephen A. Smith. It'll get you a bump in ratings. You'll be on the algorithm because you mentioned Stephen A. in the title, all in the videos, and then you'll get a bump. Like Joy Reid, like he was just not that. I mean, let's be honest. TV is a visual medium. You have to be aesthetically pleasing. Joy Reid wasn't. I mean, she wasn't exactly ugly, but it's like, the busted wigs, and, she had a little neck fat right there, couple little 3 necks right there on her neck and shit. Like, she just didn't, and then her, she just wasn't very good on MSNBC. You know what I'm saying? Like, I could have named a million women who could have took her spot that were better than her. Black women. What's her name? Melanie. What's her name? I forgot. Melanie something. Black lady. She was like, she came up, with, what's his name? Kevin Samuels. But like I've just seen a video, like, there's this guy on X, Twitter, formerly Twitter, Dove Kleiman or something. I don't even know how many. I guess he's got quite a following, because apparently he's got enough juice to make Jamil Hill respond to something he said about her. But now he's talking about somehow how Corey Holcomb in a recent video, like in the last week, has said that Stephen A. Smith and Molly Qerim were getting it on while they were at ESPN. Or else, why would Stephen A. Smith deal with a woman like Molly Qerim? Because she was quite bitchy, and yes, bitchy. She was, telling people to, hush down and this. I mean, she was the moderator of the show. So she, and I don't know if they were getting it on or not. I don't care. Although I wouldn't be surprised. Stephen A. Smith was the man of men on while she was on ESPN. He still is. He is the man. He is the man of sports as far as sports broadcasting. Gets the they even try to tout him as a political candidate, presidential candidate. He's on General Hospital. He's the man. Respected. He ain't sold nobody out. Shout out to Cam Newton. Cam Newton, former NFL quarterback. He's like the only one who gets Stephen A. Smith. Now he does work with him sometime on First Take and whatnot, but he gets it. He understands why he's top of the food chain when it comes to sports broadcasters. I've told you all a million times. I'll tell you again that urban sesquipedalian act that he does is phenomenal. That takes talent. Using all those big words, but he still kind of sound urban and like, he's from the hip hop generation. He still sounds like that while he's delivering his takes, but he's using these big ass monosyllabic words and shit, like, or what is it? Yeah, polysyllabic words. Like like not everybody can do that. He's also a New Yorker. That's a big part of it. He's a New Yorker. I remember a clip from back in the day where some dude from Miami was going at Howard Cosell. And Howard Cosell, kind of gave him that work. He was like, you obviously haven't, done anything in this profession, because if you were, you'd be in New York. Howard Cosell shitted on him. Some things ain't gonna ever change. The mecca of urban media, or not urban media, New American media, is always going to be New York. Stephen A. Smith's a New Yorker. New Yorkers are very provincial as well. Trust me, I know that. I went there with them. They're provincial. Stephen does that, and just like every time you look up, somebody's going at the dude. I'm with Cam Newton. You just gotta respect game and just realize this spot is gonna be held down for a little while. I've told you, Jason Whitlock's thing with Stephen A. Smith isn't personal. He probably would be cool with him, or at least cordial with the guy if they were in a room regularly. Jason Whitlock, his thing, well, Stephen A. Smith's the king. I'm about to throw rocks at the throne. Why? Jason Whitlock, he's probably a better writer. But when the shift came from writing to going on TV talking shit, that kind of slowed down, if not killed, Whitlock's career. That slowly killed it, because why? He's not aesthetically pleasing. He's overweight, fat face, bad teeth. And, Stephen A. Smith, he ain't exactly Denzel Washington. He ain't Will Smith. But he's decent enough to be on TV regularly. You know what I'm saying? So Corey Holcomb bringing up that Molly shit. With Molly Qerim, it's like, dude, that's old business. Her, Jalen Rose, blah, blah, blah. That's old business, whether they did or not. Like I said, I wouldn't be surprised. But Corey Holcomb's, he's too real for TV. He's too real. That's why he'll never be on. That's why he'll never be the comic that he should be, because he's funny. He's got talent. The dude's funny. He's hysterical. And He's just not, yeah. I mean, because he's talking shit about like how, if your girl works around all them athletes on ESPN, your job is to tell her how to get some money out of them niggas because he gon' smash. At one point, ESPN was a smash fest. Everybody was knocking down all those women who wasn't on TV. They were the makeup artists, the people on the back, even Skip, old ass Skip Bayless was trying to take down a makeup artist. He's making $5-10 million a year at FS1. That makeup artist who's making 65, 75, living in Los Angeles. Skip Bayless tell her, hey, I can make life real comfortable for you. But you got to give me some ass. You know what I'm saying? Now, she wouldn't sue for it, But she was saying that, Joy Taylor was basically telling people, fuck till you can't, fuck till you get to where you want to be. You know what I'm saying? Things like that. But yeah, that's what these, But so, the constant going off at Stephen A. Smith is like gotten old. Like, leave the man alone. Especially, and like I said, other than, what's her name? Michelle Beadle, it's been pretty much all black folks going at him. Like, damn, that just shows we're socialists. We don't want to see one black person stand up in front above the rest in front of everybody. No, you need to come down here in the dregs of, in the trenches with us. You know what I'm saying? It was funny when he was when Corey Holcomb said about Joy or Molly Curl. He was like, yeah, back then she was still making, she still had a car note. She was making money when she still had to have a car note. Basically saying like, most of these talents at ESPN, they get a talent, they ain't got to get a car note. So they can buy it outright, 6-figure car outright. Don't have to get a loan on it. You got to, like I said, Corey's funny. But it's like him going at Stephen A. Smith. It's like, I'm not sure how much you're into sports, but I know you're not into sports broadcasting. Because Stephen A. Smith, I said it a million times, he's Howard Cosell 2.0. He's this version of Howard Cosell. Trust me, everybody's had their run. Chris Berman was the man at ESPN for a while. Those nicknames, some of you youngins don't know, them nicknames was fire. We used to be in high school in the 90s playing hangman with Chris Berman nicknames. You know what I'm saying? Chuck New Kids on Now Block. You know what I'm saying? Andre Bad Moon Rising. Shit like that, man. That shit was funny. He was the man at one point. And apparently he was so untouchable at ESPN that ESPN went out of their way to make sure that they wouldn't create another Chris Berman. They kind of did with Stephen A. Smith, though. He slipped through the cracks. They were making sure no more white guys did that, but Stephen A. did as a black man. Because when he first got on ESPN, regularly everybody was calling him Screaming A. Smith. White guys hated him. And they hated Stuart Scott too. But Stuart Scott was just he started off just, doing the highlights. Then he was on the NBA show. Everybody fucked with him. Because he was, doing the highlights with the hip hop shit. Got his Q rating up. Everybody started fucking with him. And so he started doing the NBA countdown shows and shit like that. He probably was a genuinely good guy. Probably was. R.I.P. to Stuart Scott. As you all know, he died of cancer about 2015-ish, somewhere around there. They just did his 30 for 30. He got a 30 for 30 out of the shit. What he was doing. So, like again, shout out to him, shout out to his daughters, and his his wife, everybody, because R.I.P. to him. He was, but he wasn't like my guy like that, just because, like the hip hop shit that he was doing on SportsCenter. I've seen other guys doing it. Mark Jones, the basketball play-by-play guy for ESPN ABC, he used to do that during college basketball games. Craig Kilborn, he became an actor. He was like one of those people they were trying to keep from being Chris Berman, him and Dan Patrick. Kilborn used to do the hip hop shit. His one of his catch lines was, so and so messed around and had a triple double. We all know where that came from. Ice Cube. On It Was a Good Day. So, it appears that, just basically if you're a black YouTuber, you either get into some beef with somebody to get some ratings, Stephen A. Smith or Jay-Z. You know what I'm saying? And you'll blow up. And that's what everybody just seems to be doing, because like even Jamel Hill said that, like, my girl got into it, so I had to, just by proxy, basically, stand up for her, when Stephen came back at her. And like I said, shout out to Cam Newton, because he's the one that gets it, Stephen A. mixes in that, stay off the weed. That little shit. You know what I'm saying? That makes Stephen popular. So I'm just going to end this. Get off Stephen A. Smith's dick, y'all. You just got to respect the fact that he holding that crown. And you ain't going to knock him off just off petty beefs. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to knock him off. Corey Holcomb, bringing up old shit about Molly Curlum and all that. That's old shit, man. You ain't got to do all that. Let Stephen A. ride, y'all. Hit it up in the comments. Let me know what you think about this. Is this all? Is this the way to come up? Because I ain't gonna ever be able to do that. Going people talking shit, going at people like that. It's gonna be rare that I do it, but when I do it, it's with a purpose. If I can't remember anymore, I just truly just went at somebody like that. Like people be going at Stephen A. and Jay. But let me know in the comments. Let me know what you think. Don't forget, like and subscribe. I'll have some NFL action for you tonight. All right? Everybody be safe. Peace.